The Cleveland Browns have a big one Sunday, and it seems a lot of people want to talk about a lot of things other than the actual game on Sunday when the Cleveland Browns travel to Seattle to face the Seahawks. We're going to talk about some of that and actually talk about the game between the Browns and the Seahawks. Your latest Locked On Browns starts now.
You are Locked On Browns, your daily Cleveland Browns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound, LGB, and the LOB, the Locked On Browns podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Your host, Jeff Lloyd, and I appreciate everybody who makes Locked On Browns their first listen every single day. And to the everyday crowd, just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Appreciate you all. The best way to join the everyday crowd, of course, is to subscribe to the Locked On Browns YouTube channel. And, of course, Locked On Browns, always available, always free, wherever you get your podcasts. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code all lowercase LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. As you can see, we're starting to get settled in to what is now the second home of Locked On Browns here for me. Still some things to come, some decorations. We're going to get this place dialed up really, really nice. But we were able to get back home here today. Well, what is the new home, I should say, for Locked On Browns. So appreciate everybody for understanding, had to go a little rogue here with some episodes, but we are up and running now. Your Cleveland Browns news of the day. Obviously Thursday, big injury day. So, most concerning parts here for the Cleveland Browns, Jedrick Wills out a second straight day. I never thought I'd, get to the point where I'd say, man, really hope Jedrick Wills gets to the practice field tomorrow and is ready to go for Sunday. But that is where we are. Sione Takitaki still not back on the practice field. Missed last week. Obviously, it's trending towards Sione Takitaki going to be out again this week. Marquise Goodwin out of practice with a back injury. Did not practice yesterday. Is this something where you may be protecting an older player? So we'll see. Marquise has actually been getting a little run here the last couple of weeks. We'll see, where the news is for Marquise as far as tomorrow's injury report, and obviously Sunday in Seattle. Looking at Seattle, the biggest questions, Bobby Wagner, Kenneth Walker, both on the injury report. Neither have practiced the last 2 days. Not hearing anything. It makes me believe either one of those guys are not going to be out there. Tyler Lockett, same thing. Hamstring injury, DNP, but still looks like he's trending towards playing. DK Metcalf is stacked together 2 full practices, so it's looking pretty good. Like the Cleveland Browns are going to be back to the Seattle Seahawks will be close to full strength Sunday as they host the Browns for 25 out in Seattle. Deshaun Watson did speak to the media today. I wasn't sure if we were going to hear from Deshaun at all this week, seeing as he wasn't practicing, certainly wasn't going to play. The whole Brady Quinn thing, and obviously yesterday's recording was obviously dedicated to the crossover episode. So I'm going to address some of that now because, and even still, I understand, Brady did a radio spot in, with Cleveland this morning. It kind of made it worse, in my opinion. Because look, you can critique someone's play in the NFL. You're an analyst. That is what you're paid to do. That is your job. That is well within your job. But to say some of the things and go to some of the lengths that he went to saying about Deshaun Watson, number one, questioning, whether or not he's just going to, basically Steve Miller Band, take the money and run. Man, that's to not know the man at all and to speak like that. I mean, that breaks the bro code of the league. And the other thing that's also bad about this is you never talk about another man's money. Yes, we all know Deshaun Watson, how much money he makes in guaranteed money. And hey, Browns agreed to it. Browns wrote the check. They know. But to say that, a player is ever dogging it or a player isn't playing games he should be playing or he's capable of playing, I mean, I don't know how you can come away from the little bit of what Deshaun Watson played on Sunday against the Colts and then all of a sudden say, oh, well, he should be out there for more. I mean, everything we all saw on Sunday saw that Deshaun Watson wasn't ready. And for someone to question whether or not he's going to basically duck playing, he went out there. He did play. Here's the other thing. Maybe he threw the ball better before he put on pads. Anybody think about this? Anybody even think to bring this up? Maybe the pads constricted the rotator cuff and constricted the movement within the rotator cuff and made it difficult for him to throw the football. And then Brady Quinn goes on radio this morning, locally, Cleveland-wise, and, basically now all of a sudden he's going to be a life coach, and he's going to tell Deshaun Watson, how he needs to handle all this. And we're not, I mean, going to get to his tweets yet because, that's a whole other story for another day. But now all of a sudden you got to block out the outside noise. Brady Quinn, you are the outside noise. You literally called him out. You told him he was acting like a trust fund kid. He was taking his money and not doing anything to earn it. I'm sorry. That's egregious. It's going over the line. If you want to say he's not played well, and look, we'll be honest, the last start that Deshaun Watson finished for the Cleveland Browns has been the best we have seen him be a quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. We all know it's not where we're hoping it's going to be yet, where Deshaun's hoping it's going to be, where everybody Browns related is hoping it's going to be. We all get that. But now all of a sudden you're just going to take shots at the guy, and you basically question his manhood, question, whether or not, he's, able to play. You don't know the answer to these questions. You don't make those assumptions because it makes you look stupid, because you can't walk in somebody else's shoes. So to talk like that, speak like that, and basically say, he should be out there playing. Well, you don't know. And what we saw Sunday, and everything I saw Sunday was a guy who wasn't ready to play yet. Do I want Deshaun at full health? I think everybody does. But if he's going to be the version of what we saw in Indianapolis, he's not helping anybody right now. You think he was going to hit that 30-yard pass to Elijah Moore with the game on the line in the fourth quarter to give the Browns a chance to rally and win the game? He wasn't going to be able to make that throw. So you want to know what? Get your shots in. And you know what, Brady Quinn? Just say you don't like him, because you want to know what? Your tweets, basically what you said. So if you have it out for the guy, that's fine. But your job as an analyst is to be impartial and report on what you see, not what you think. That's not your job. It was a dirty move by Brady Quinn. I'm sorry. And if you don't like Deshaun Watson, and look, there are a lot of people within the Cleveland Browns fan community that probably just don't generally like Deshaun Watson. And that's your opinion. You're entitled to it. And I've said it since day one, and I'll continue to say it today. It's not my call. My call is to talk about Deshaun Watson, a football player. And the last we saw Deshaun Watson against the Tennessee Titans was the best version we've ever seen. And now he's hurt. And it sucks for this team. This team could really use him, especially now that this team is 4-2 and really needs a jump start to their passing game. But to take a shot at a guy and question his manhood and question his commitment to the sport, to his team, to the city that paid him $230 million guaranteed, it was a cheap shot. I'm sorry. There's just no other way around it. We're going to continue here because in this and over what's been going on the last couple of weeks, this team is 4-2. And I'm hearing a lot of flack towards the general manager. I'm hearing a lot of flack towards the head coach. And I got to be honest, I don't like any of it. Jeff Lloyd, your latest Locked On Browns. Appreciate everybody for being along for the ride. If you were like me and you're a family person, everybody gets excited for their summer vacations or going away around holidays to go see family and friends. But what always seems to be the one thing that ruins it, you're one day into it and all of a sudden one of the kids is sick. Well, there is now a great way to be able to handle all that. The Jase case provides 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use. All it takes to get a Jase case is fill out a simple online form. In some cases, jump on a quick call with one of our on-board certified physicians. Get ongoing care from our physicians on any treatment-related questions. Don't be caught unprepared. Everyone should be empowered to care for themselves and their loved ones during the unexpected. Jase handles everything from online evaluation to licensed pharmacy medication delivery and ongoing consultation and care. The Jase case now also stocks the new drug leverticin as an option in the Jase case. So you can pick the 5 drugs you want within this case. So, hey, if you got somebody like myself, I can't take amoxicillin, I can't take penicillin. So we can make sure that there is an antibiotic in there for me. But everybody else, standard things, you get sick, you have those types of things. You could put all of this into your Jase case. You can get a gift card. You can buy a gift card for family or loved ones so they can get a Jase case of their own. Go to jasemedical.com and enter the code Locked On at checkout for a $20 discount on your order. That's promo code Locked On at JASE Medical. Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is super easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Jeff Lloyd, your latest Locked On Browns as we continue here. And I want to thank everybody, of course, who makes Locked On Browns their first listen every single day. And, of course, to the everyday crowd, which keeps getting bigger. Folks, jump in the pool. It's warm. The water's great. Join the everyday crowd by subscribing to the Locked On Browns YouTube channel. And, of course, the podcast is always available, always free, wherever you get your podcast. So now, along with the Deshaun Watson critiques, and look, I'm sorry, and look, I'm not a defender, but being in an analyst business, we're not questioning somebody's manhood. And that's something like that just absolutely irks me to my core. You want to say a player's not playing well, that's fine. Starting to question manhood, things like that. And it's at the end of the day, that is just dirty pool. I'm sorry. There is no way around it. So now, but with that, we're getting some of these same things directed, and we're getting them directed at the head coach. We're getting them directed at the general manager. Now, the biggest one here with, as far as, Kevin Stefanski and, with Deshaun, and look, there's been an ongoing thing now for well over a month now. Is he practicing? Is he not practicing? Where is he at? And so yesterday, you get a question about Jerome Ford. When do you expect Jerome Ford to be back? Before the question was asked, Jerome Ford, and everyone knew, left the building with a walking boot on. He's not at practice, not even close to being able to become the practice. And Coach Stefanski, we'll see. So if he gives you a timeline of 3 to 4 weeks and the player doesn't come back, you give him a hard time. If he tells you a player he's not sure when he'll be back, you're going to give him a hard time. This is a team that is 4-2. This is a team that has now just beaten the San Francisco 49ers and won a crazy game on the road against the Indianapolis Colts with P.J. Walker at the quarterback position. This is a team that had a beautiful play where Harrison Bryant took a snap, pitched it out to Kareem Hunt, scored a touchdown against San Francisco 49ers, one of the best teams in the NFL. Then you get to the Colts game, and obviously the Browns came up with a lot of great play calling there. I don't know what you guys want. I mean, your critiques change by the day as far as, what you feel from the head coach. He's got a winning record. He has had a bazillion starting quarterbacks in his time here, going from Baker Mayfield, then going into, obviously 20, and then from 20, then 21 with all the guys in and out of the lineup. Last year, obviously, Jacoby Brissett for as much time as he had, then Deshaun Watson, who was a shell of himself as he was coming back from a 2-year absence from the league. This year, you've had Deshaun. You had DTR getting told at 10:30 on a Sunday that he was going to have to start. Not a good situation for the quarterback. Certainly not a good situation for the coach. Granted, the team looked flat that day. Understandable. Then he come back with a big win over the San Francisco 49ers. Then they think and they hope that Deshaun Watson's ready to go against the Indianapolis Colts. It turns out after a couple of series, he's not. He's, basically throwing chili peppers. He's throwing worm killers. He's got no direction over the football and certainly has no drive over the football. So they put in P.J. Walker. Somehow the defense lights a spark, gets some points. All of a sudden the Browns are in the lead. All of a sudden the Browns are behind. All of a sudden the Browns travel the distance in the final 2 minutes and pull out a big win with P.J. Walker. Whatever your problem is with Kevin Stefanski, this isn't the time to be voicing it. He's doing a fantastic job with this team this year. He is really, really the best version of himself right now. And every time he turns around, it's somebody different, whether it's his quarterback, whether it's his running back. Every time something's changing and he's got to deal with things on the fly. Now we're going to get to the general manager. I actually heard something today and it shook me, man, where Andrew Berry left the Browns woefully unprepared for this season. Are you kidding me? This guy had one of the worst defenses in the NFL last year. And when we say bad, we're talking garbage. He goes out, gets you a whole new defensive line, essentially top to bottom. And not only is it a new defensive line, it's a new defensive line full of players. Dalvin Tomlinson, Agbo Okoronkwo, Zadarius Smith, Maurice Hurst. These guys are good, solid football players. And not even mentioning his hire of the new defense coordinator in Jim Schwartz. If your issue is that there wasn't a better backup quarterback behind Deshaun Watson, who's making $230 million guaranteed, something happens to Patrick Mahomes for a month for the Kansas City Chiefs. What do you think the Chiefs' record's going to be? Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen misses a month of football. What do you think the record's going to be? What do you expect when you have a huge financial investment wrapped up in your quarterback? Who do you think you're going to have behind him? They think DTR is going to be a promising backup one day. Well, he got a terrible situation and got handed a starting assignment at 10:30 on a Sunday morning against one of the best defenses in the NFL, the Baltimore Ravens. And guess what? It was a tough assignment for the kid, and the kid didn't get it done. Are we surprised? Nope. And then woefully unprepared. PJ Walker beat the San Francisco 49ers. And we're going to label the job Andrew Berry did woefully unprepared. But yet PJ Walker was able to beat the San Francisco 49ers and on the road with 2 minutes to go, take his team down the field, get the game-winning touchdown. That is woefully unprepared. You cannot expect perfection from players, coaches, general managers. And the problem is what anytime there might be something you disagree with, all of a sudden heads are getting called for jobs. You're trying to fire people. Kevin Stefanski has a winning record as Cleveland Browns head coach. Winning record. Andrew Berry just did one of the most impressive defensive rebuilds in an offseason between coordinator, between talent. I wouldn't even mention Juan Thornhill, by the way. Didn't even mention Rodney McLeod, by the way. And then all of a sudden, because Deshaun Watson misses extensive action, and keep in mind, the only game you didn't win without Deshaun Watson was the Baltimore game. But that's woefully unprepared? Come on, man. Guys, I get it. But this team is 4-2. It has the best defense in the NFL. You've got Kareem Hunt, who came back out of nowhere and is a big contributor. We're going to see Pierre Strong in a bigger role this week, I should say. Guys, we're going off the deep end here. If you don't think the job can be done better, then my suggestions are when you say these terms like woefully unprepared, who would have done a better job? And show me who in the NFL is doing a better job. Jeff Lloyd, we're going to continue your latest Locked On Browns. PrizePicks is the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in North America. We are the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. It's just you against the numbers instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks. You pick more than or less than on a 2 to 6 player stat projection and watch the winnings roll in. PrizePicks is the most fun I've had, winning up to 25 times my money this season. You just select 2 or more players, pick more or less than their projected stats, and place your entry. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what makes PrizePicks the #1 daily fantasy sports apps. You want to set up a Browns lineup this week? Here is the deal. Phillip Walker going to throw for more than or less than 207.5 yards. Receivers, Amari Cooper. Will he get more than 47.5 or less than? Elijah Moore, more or less 34.5. David Njoku, more than or less than 35.5. You can pick those 4 Browns, and you could put your own lineup together. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. Did the game go to timeout? Well, it's time to order in with DoorDash. Is it halftime? Well, if it is, then it might be time that you order in some sandwiches, diner food from Michael's Diner. Whenever the game clock stops, that is time to order in with DoorDash. You can order pizza, wings, soda, burgers, or even just buns on DoorDash and get it all delivered without missing the game. Chips, dips, nachos, or everything you need to make your own nachos on DoorDash and get it all delivered, again, without missing a second of the action. You can kick back at kickoff with unbeatable deals on everything you need for the watch party or your tailgate. Score football season's best deals on groceries, restaurants, retail, and more. Get prepared before game day. Stock up on your favorite appetizers and order all your tailgate greats on DoorDash, and then get ready to watch your team win. Get 50% off, up to $10 value, wins $50 or more on your first order when you download the DoorDash app and enter the promo code LOCKED23, subject to change. Terms apply. Don't forget to use LOCKED23 for 50% off to $10 value on your first order when you download the DoorDash app and spend $15 or more. Terms apply. Jeff Lloyd, your latest Locked On Browns. We're going to start to take this one home here. Segment 3, Browns offense, Seattle defense. We're going to be back. We're going to do another episode tomorrow because I'm just getting in the groove here, obviously, in what is the new home here for Locked On Browns. So I appreciate everybody who makes us the first listen every day. Make sure you subscribe to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. Join that everyday crowd. And, of course, Locked On Browns always available, always free wherever you get your podcasts. This is, again, this is one of the most difficult places to play in the NFL, and you want to get this place even more juiced up. You can break out the throwbacks. Obviously, a beautiful uniform combination the Seattle Seahawks are going back to here. So you're going to have a lot of excitement, a lot of juice in that building. Seattle playing an odd front these days, and we've always talked about this in the past. Obviously, the Browns, this is a defense and a defensive scheme that they struggle with. So obviously, Jedrick Wills being able to go here would be huge. But the talent isn't similar to some of the defensive fronts the Browns have seen this year who play this, the Steelers, the Ravens. Seattle just ain't got those guys. Jarron Reed's having one of the best years of his career. We'll see if it's an epiphany or not. They just made the move for Frank Clark. Obviously, a lot of people think Frank Clark will be ready to go as he sat dormant most of the season, is finally now going to go back to Seattle where he played the best football of his life. So he'll come back, and obviously, be able to, contribute, hopefully, for the Seahawks in somehow, some way. This team has good linebackers. Bobby Wagner is one of the best in the damn business. Jordan Brooks, another solid linebacker. They blitz their linebackers a lot. PJ Walker's going to have to play smart. And this is going to be a game where I think PJ Walker's going to have to be in the back of his mind and be very, very conscious of the fact that his legs can be his friend. This is the one thing PJ Walker hasn't done enough of yet, in my opinion. And look, he doesn't have the open field ability of Lamar Jackson. Nobody does. And I'm not trying to say that he has that type of ability. But sometimes if you don't throw it, you can't make a mistake. And I think PJ Walker is going to have to play with that thought process in the back of his mind. Amari Cooper, they just had no relationship against the Indianapolis Colts. However, they did have a really great relationship with each other against the San Francisco 49ers. Games like this are why Amari Cooper's here. He may not be your top receiving threat every week, but he's the veteran of the room. He's been in these games. He's been in these stadiums. He's the guy you lean on in a tough spot. And I think Amari Cooper, after a really, really difficult week last week, where he was bundled up by Colts guys all day. And look, this Seattle secondary is pretty good. It really is. I'd rather face Witherspoon now than maybe a month from now or even 2 seasons from now. This guy is trending upward to be a fantastic player. Diggs, great player. Julian Love has been really good in that secondary. Jamal Adams trying to find his way back to success here in the NFL. But this is going to be tough. And now the running game is where it's going to really, really get interesting. Because even if it's not working, and say you're getting 3 yards a clip, you got to stay committed to it. Because the Browns have to find a way to control, the crowd, and control the tempo of the game and control the time of possession. So even if they are not running for a large amount of yards, they have to stay committed to the run. I like PJ Walker. I think there's some timely throws that he can make, but I think the more times you want to rely on PJ Walker to go out and beat quality NFL teams, and the Seattle Seahawks are just that, I think you're asking for, PJ Walker to maybe do something that he's truly not capable of. Look, you get behind, you have no choice, but you kind of got to get on this horse and try to get out in front early and stay out in front for the duration of 60 minutes. Kind of what the game plan was against the Colts, but it all fell apart real quickly, due to the ineffectiveness of number 4. But you get PJ in there, get a drive together, points. Obviously, your kicker Hopkins has been fantastic. AFC Special Teams Player of the Week 2 weeks in a row. Sure, you probably think there's going to be a hiccup coming at some point, but he's been really, really fantastic. Oh, and by the way, that was another one that a lot of people laughed at, saying the Browns traded for a kicker that lost a kicking competition. How's that looking out now, guys? How's that looking out for Andrew Berry? Because that mood looks really, really solid right now. Defense, we'll get to it tomorrow. We'll get to some more topics tomorrow. But this is a winnable game. The Browns should be able to pull this off. The Cleveland Browns right now, the way they're constructed and the way they play in all 3 phases, they can play with anybody, anywhere, at any time. So I expect that to be the case Sunday in Seattle. I am Jeff Lloyd, your host here. Now my 7th season covering the Browns for you here, covering the Browns here for you all on Locked On Browns. Absolutely enjoying every minute of it. I ain't getting into the outside noise. This team is 4-2. This team looks as best as, in my opinion, as it's looked in the entirety of the time I've been covering. So I expect this to continue. I expect them to be competitive week in, week out. This has been your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound. LGB on the LOB. Let's go Browns.